We are recording this, so we are ready to get started. So Malachi, share a little bit where you currently are, where did you graduate, or what year you graduated from Midtown/Grady, and of course your name.
Of course. Hello, my name is Malachi Trailer. I am a 2022 Midtown graduate, but I grew up with Grady. And currently I'm in Seville, Spain, just studying my general ed courses as a freshman.
All right.
I'm Mackenzie. I graduated from Grady in 2019, and I am currently in graduate school at Georgia State.
I'm Dana. I graduated in 2021. I go to Brown. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Aaliyah Rapping and I graduated in the first Midtown class of 2022 and I go to Howard University in DC.
Hey everyone, I'm Griffin. I graduated from Grady in 2021 and I go to Yale.
Hi, my name is Kamora. I graduated from Grady in 2021 and I currently attend Howard University.
All right, thank you for sharing that. Some really good schools. So talk a little bit to us about what played a role in your decision to attend where you're currently attending, and whoever wants to start.
I can start. The biggest thing that played a role in me where I'm attending now was the professors, because I'm in grad school, so I wanted to go somewhere where there were professors doing research that I was interested in. And since I'm studying urban studies at Georgia State, and so Georgia State is kind of like a hub for that kind of thing. And there were a lot of professors doing research on housing, development, and I really wanted to go where I could get that experience with them. So that was the biggest factor in me going here. But then I also was given a really good offer for funding, and so that also played a big role.
Good stuff. So a practical approach. It just made sense. That makes sense. Mackenzie.
Yeah, I'll say for me with picking Howard, I study psychology and I really wanted to emphasize my studies on Black people and Black women. So I looked into HBCUs to find an institution where I would have like a really good psychology program, but I could have that niche that I really want to get into. So Howard has the best psychology program of all the HBCUs. So definitely to get that experience. And then of course, to just feel comfortable in getting an education as a Black woman in this space. So yeah.
Thank you.
As an African-American woman, I've always known that I wanted to attend a historically Black college or university because I wanted to surround myself with like-minded, educated individuals who look like me, share similar struggles, and the same culture as me. I fell in love with Howard when I first toured it back in 2019 because I fell in love with the campus, the sense of community, the location. They all gave me a sense of excitement that I didn't get from any other school that I toured, and I just knew that immediately this was the place for me.
Good stuff. Who wants to go next? What factors led you to make the decision to attend where you are?
Yeah, I can go. So I knew I wanted to be somewhere like near a city. I knew I wanted to be somewhere that had like a traditional college campus. And I knew I wanted to be somewhere like outside of the South because I just wanted to experience a different culture, a different area. And then I toured a few schools that met those criteria. And honestly, just based on first glance, I think those gut feelings you get if you're able to tour are really powerful. And then once I had gone on some of those tours, I then looked into more of the like academic and social elements of those schools and then realized that Yale was the best fit when it came to that. So yeah, I just like holistically looked at different factors and then made that call.
For me, it's I think the farthest way being of like fright, confusion, like repeated patterns of like me in the school, being a traditional American college with big classes. I needed something that was more catered to me. So here in Seville, Spain, I take small convenient classes And I get real personal with my professors and civilians. They love like personal space is not a thing. They love to like be there for you. They're very passionate about their teaching styles. And from that, it really helped me to like really engage in my classes and even become more of a social aspect here because everything is social. Um, and from there, just I'm just glad I chose Spain because it's brought a lot of aspects and social views that I never applied to my life beforehand.
Good stuff. And that's Seville, Spain, right, Malachi?
Mhm. Yeah.
All right.
I think for me, I was the kind of kid who liked the idea of every school I heard of. So that made it kind of hard to narrow it down. But with Brown, I really liked sort of the educational philosophy. They have an open curriculum, which is like there aren't any like general requirements. So it's like, in my opinion, like the epitome of like academic exploration. And it requires a lot of like independent drive of what you want to study. And so I really like that because I was going in completely undecided about what I wanted to study, but knowing that I had these interests that were like multidisciplinary and very aligned with each other. And so I kind of realized that like that educational philosophy would support my interests the best. And also just like that whole like idea of like curiosity and like following that passion kind of, at least in my experience, has like fostered a really great community. And so like the people here are really cool. So that was also a draw.
Good stuff. Thanks, Dana. So thinking back, you guys, to your time when you were walking the halls on 929 Charles Allen, when you were at Midtown/Grady, what did you learn in high school that you believe and as you know really helped you in your current place right now? What did you take from our school that was beneficial for you?
I can go. I definitely learned how to be open-minded to new people and new possibilities. Things may not always go the way that they're planned, so you have to be flexible and open to what's possibly in store and to trust the process.
I'll second that. I think it definitely taught me how to be open-minded. It was a really, really diverse environment being at Midtown, and that was really beneficial going into both undergrad and now graduate school because you interact with so many different people. And so it's just really helpful to have kind of some kind of background in that and to be willing to like open yourself up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'll piggyback off of that. I think definitely the diversity in the students we have at Midtown really benefited me, and just knowing that I can communicate and connect with all different types of people. And I think also just the experience of all the different extracurriculars and opportunities Midtown had to offer. It's like you kind of got to dabble in everything. So I feel like I really learned my interests at Midtown because we had so many things that you could try. So coming into college, I was able to kind of figure out what I'm interested in just because I had an experience of trying things at Midtown.
Yeah, so I agree with everyone with just the diversity that we have really help with being able to meet a lot of different people and have really valuable conversations both in and outside of the classroom. For the intellectual side, just the extracurriculars I did. So I did debate, and just the reading, writing, and analytical skills I gained from that have been very helpful for college level reading and writing. And also just I took a lot of classes like obviously y'all did in different subjects. So that just helped prepare with like what I knew I wanted to study, and also gave me a good background so that I felt comfortable doing all different types of really cool things.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Anyone else want to take a stab at that? Thinking about your time at Midtown. What could you take or
Yeah.
what did you take from us?
I say for me, it's mostly that I kept showing up. You know, the faculty at Midtown will really help if you ask for it. Because I know my senior year was kind of rough, just being on my own, signing up for applying for all the colleges and doing the essays. And then second semester, I did sign up for all scholarships, you know. And it took a lot for me just to see what adult responsibility is as leaving school, and it was to a point where I didn't feel like I could like pass my classes or even graduate. So Midtown really helped me, cater to me to do late arrival and early dismissal, and I did part of my classes really well. I graduated with all A's, and even I did a documentary where Midtown had me share my senior 2022 story, and the superintendent shouted me out, and that was pretty cool to have that moment and remember what Midtown has really graciously gave to me, so I can be here in Spain even right now. So just, if you ever need resources, take the chance. Midtown will be there for you. So you need to keep showing up for yourself as well.
People have kind of already said all the things that I was gonna say. But I guess like sort of adding on to it, I think like there's definitely an adjustment to a college workload. Like it's a lot more like reading and like independent things like that, where it's like you have less assignments that keep you accountable than in high school. But I do think that I was more prepared for like the writing elements of college than I thought I was, because of like all the writing assignments we had at Grady/Midtown. So I think I did a really good job preparing.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing. And not to take anything away from what you all just shared, but let's get real, and let's switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about some of the challenges also. Granted, you guys got the foundation for dealing with diversity. Dana shared about the writing experience, the training that she got from our school. But what do you wish you would have gotten out of high school that you weren't quite prepared for in this experience that you're in right now? What things did you think were missing that you wish you would have had while you were in high school?
I was not prepared for the level of, I think, imposter syndrome that I was going to feel going into my programs. It wasn't as bad in my undergrad, but then starting graduate school, it's like an everyday battle. And I think that having more preparation for that definitely would have been helpful, just having more confidence, and I think learning to like articulate my thoughts more, and just being more prepared for like how intellectually challenging it really is going to be in college, and just that kind of stuff.
Talk a little bit about that. You said imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Really good description, but tell our teenagers, what does that mean?
Well, it looks different for everyone, but for me, it's just always feeling like maybe the admission committee at Georgia State made a mistake when they decided to admit me into their grad program. And it comes up in class discussions where I hear people using much more advanced language than I'm able to, but then you kind of have to stop and realize that like you're in classes with PhD students and law students and all these other things. So it's like not comparing yourself to others. But for me, it definitely shows up like that, like questioning if they knew what they were really getting into when they let me into the program.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Who's next? Who wants to talk a little bit about what you wish you would have gotten from Midtown/Grady?
What I'll say, a really big struggle for me coming into college was adjusting to studying in the way you have to study in college. I think in high school, it's very different. Like we have a lot of structure in high school. This assignment helps you with this assignment comes here. We have this test. Test is usually pretty straightforward, but in college, you get so much information on a daily basis, and really like your professors, are not going to hold your hand through it and tell you how to study and tell you what to do. So I really had to teach myself tips to like, I had to come up with my own way to study and figure out how I learned best coming into college, which kind of led to me struggling in the beginning. So I definitely think like, I wish we had more classes for seniors focused on like, okay, like this is how it's going to be when you get to college. This is what you need to prepare for. Because I think in high school, like it's kind of, the tests aren't as hard. The information is not to the level that it is in college. Like you're going to read 20-page papers and your professor is going to ask you like to take a test on that when you just got it last week, and you kind of have to manage that on your own. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I can go next. I think Aaliyah really hit it with like just the independence that you have, which I think is really cool, and that you can work at your own pace and really dive into things that you find interesting. But it also can be really tough sometimes to know exactly what you need to do to prepare. Like teachers don't really give study guides. They don't like explicitly say all the topics that are going to be on a test. They say anything's fair game from the readings or the lectures, which can often be a lot of information. But you get used to it. And I think part of that too is knowing that coming in, it's completely okay to struggle and recognize that there's going to be an adjustment period. For me, like I felt like I was like, oh, I can definitely like transition. Like I did a lot of work at Grady, like shouldn't be that bad. And then it is going to be tough. Like you're going to be challenged. And I think that's really good. It really forces you to challenge yourself and build upon valuable skills. So I think just okay, being willing to struggle in ways that you hadn't struggled before, and just having techniques for dealing with that. And yeah, just overall, you'll figure it out. Just know that going in. And I think it's important that you just think about ways as soon as you can that like help you study and learn information effectively.
Yeah.
This is slightly related, but also like in college, there are so many more fields that you could study. Like I remember we don't at Brown, we don't really have any like general requirements. So I told myself like going into freshman year, I'm going to take like at least 2 classes a semester in like a discipline that I hadn't really like pursued at all. And so like I took a class in like sociology, and I was going to take a class in like anthropology because there were things that I hadn't really had exposure to. And so I think like in some ways, I don't really see this as necessarily like something that like Midtown Grady didn't necessarily prepare us for, but it's just like something that like you need to be mindful of, is that like there are more things out there when you get to college, and it can be overwhelming because if you go in even slightly undecided, it can be like, oh my gosh, like there's so many different things, like how will I ever pick what I want to study? And so I think like, I mean, I'm saying this still figuring it out, but like I think the best way to do it is to try a little bit of everything that you think you could be interested in, and give yourself grace when figuring it out.
Yeah.
To piggyback off of what Dana said, with there being more freedom, it's harder to manage your time. I've had a big problem with time management. I even had that problem back in high school. And you have to really know how to manage your priorities when you're in college. There's a lot of things for you to do. There's always parties, there's always events, there's time to hang out with your friends. You want to go out and explore the city that you're in a new place, new people. It's so many new things, so many different things, but you have to remember why you're there. Sometimes it's really easy to get distracted, and I have to really remind myself that I'm not here to have fun. Well, obviously I would have fun, but I'm here to get my degree, and that's what comes first at the end of the day. I have to make sure I buckle down, get my work done. There's always going to be another party. There's always going to be another event. There's always going to be another time to hang out with friends, but you have to remember why you're at college in the first place, because it's really easy to get distracted.
Well said. Thank you, Cora.
Yes, I would like to backtrack with Leah and Griffin, just about college readiness. You never really know what you're getting into, even when you are sure about taking classes or you're not. For me, I think one of the biggest things is time management. That's always something I have to work in myself. High school, it didn't really like show me that. I mean, you just show up to your classes, you do your extracurriculars, go to clubs, but you don't look at it as like, how can I like manage my time, But for here, being in Spain, the lifestyle here is like more of a casual sense. So people work here for about 3 to like 5 hours, and then they take a 2-hour break. There's a governmental time called siesta, which means nap. So that's like from like 3 to 7. And, for me, I thought my classes how can I manage my time? What would be the best way to handle across all my tasks between school and doing like excursions, going out on the weekends to other countries or different Spanish cities. Um, and just from there, I started adapting very slowly and very effectively how scheduling, business scheduling from American lifestyle and European lifestyle. It's like different cultural aspect wise, you know. You never know, you take a chance. So I didn't think Spain would teach me that, but you know, things are unexpected, and when unexpected becomes graciousness, you know. Time management has definitely been a big part because I'm a huge procrastinator. So if I don't feel like I have enough time or um, you know, things aren't going quite as well in my head, then I think they are doing actual in reality. Um, then it takes a minute for me to like really process my thoughts and even finish my tasks. But time management is a big thing. Um, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, we're hearing a common theme here: managing your time, executive functioning skills, making decisions, being able to um, pull yourself out of situations and knowing when things are appropriate and rearranging things. But I'm gonna press you guys a little bit. Um, with the whole admissions process, there's a big talk in our community about ranking. Um, and you guys probably don't remember your ranking, but Griffin, I do want to start with you on this because I think you served as our Val. Can you all talk a little bit about was ranking important in the admissions process where you all are? And if it was, did it in fact help you with the content and the things that you're doing now?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think you've heard this before, but your exact rank doesn't matter that much. I mean, I'm sure I probably was helped by it in the admissions process, in all honesty. But in terms of like once you're there, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter how you got in, it matters what you do when you're there. So, like, I know people who have like way better SAT scores. I know people who have like really cool research things that got them in. I know people who got in because they're brilliant actors and singers. It doesn't matter how you got in, it matters what you do when you're there. So don't worry too much about scores, grades. Obviously, try to do the best you can because that's going to set you up to get into schools that you think are going to be good for you. But once you're there, all that stuff goes away and it doesn't matter. Like, no one talks about, oh, I had this GPA, I had this class rank, I had this SAT score. The people that do that are not thinking correctly and just don't understand what they need to be doing in college, to be honest. So once you like get there, don't think about it. And just really hit the ground running and make it the most of it because you're there for a reason. The admissions office doesn't make mistakes. They really look into it. They spend a ton of time making sure they pick a class that they think is going to be that's going to embody their values, is going to really be successful. So I know Mackenzie talked a little bit about imposter syndrome. That can be very real at times, but just always remember that you got in for a reason. You're very special. You're really good at what you do. You're going to bring a lot of value to that campus, no matter what your numbers were. And that's ultimately what's most important. So just once you're there, just have a great time and really work hard. Doesn't matter how you got there.
I completely agree. High school ranking doesn't matter at all once you're in college. They are completely different types of learning, different types of classrooms. The things you did to get your ranking in high school are not going to matter in college because it's just so different. Like in college, you're graded on like participation, group work. Like so many classes are like seminars. You sit and you talk, and that's what you're graded on. You're not graded on like how you do on a test. Really, you're graded on like how you engage in these real issues in your real area of study. And I think, not ranking high doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to do well going forward. It just means that you're not going to be like an engineer, but maybe you could do something great in a different field. And I think that's really important to remember. I think I fell like right in the middle of my class ranking wise. And I think I remember feeling a little bit bad about that in high school, but it really doesn't matter now. I mean, I went into my undergrad with so many people who were ranked higher than me, had higher test scores than me, but I still graduated early. I didn't come in with any, AP credits like they did. I didn't come in with like being ahead, but I still finished ahead. So I think it really matters what you put in once you get there. And high school, it just kind of stops mattering because it's just a whole different world.
Yeah, what I'll say is, I'll say I think it's kind of hard as the high schooler not to look at the numbers. Like, of course, you want to have the best GPA. Of course, you want to be at the top of your class. Of course, you want the best SAT score. But I will say this, when it comes to the college application process, yes, those scores are going to play a factor in whether or not you get into a school. But I firmly believe, like, a lot of schools are turning to these more holistic methods of determining if students should be accepted. And I think for me personally, my essays, my letters of recommendation, and my extracurriculars are what got me into the schools that I got into. So I think, like, for those who are not seniors, who still have like time to build up your resume, I would say just focus on getting into activities that you're passionate about and connecting with advisors and teachers who can write recommendations about who you really are. Because like everyone else said, like when you get into college, it doesn't care if you were the president, like no one cares if you're the president, no one cares if you're a valedictorian, like we're all in the same playing field coming in. It's about what you do in college. So when don't waste I don't want to say waste your time, but don't stress yourself out trying to get the right number. Focus on, building yourself up as a student, making connections, because ultimately, like when you do the things you're passionate about and you make connections, that's what's going to take you further in college, because you can carry that with you, because the 4.0 GPA and the ranking is not going to follow you once you step onto your campus.
I really resonate with that. Because for me, I didn't even know what a ranking was until right before I graduated within the week of. And I'm not much of a school academic. I'm more of a outside academic, social aspect. With that, what got me into like most colleges acceptances is a lot of extracurriculars, like Leah mentioned. My grades were all right, but I did better my junior and senior year. I failed math once and I almost failed it again, my junior year, but I never stopped giving up. I kept on trying. I told myself I have another chance to make things right. And even though you may have a plan to go to one of your dream schools or one of the top schools that you think that may be the best for you, there's always colleges that's going to accept you just the way who you are, and keep that real with your essays, keep it real with your resume, and take advantage of your time, always look for something, because there's always something looking for you. You just don't know it. And people will gladly help you out if you don't know what's way to figure it out.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people kind of already talked about this, but I know it's easy to get sucked into that whole world when you're in it. And it's like, of course, we can all come back and be like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're all people and that's more important. But it is real. Like, that stress is real. But I mean, like everyone else has said, like doing things that you care about and that bring you joy is more important, period, regardless of like what college you're trying to get into. And I really think that mindset should be like what you focus on. Like if you are doing things that you don't like to do for the sake of getting into college, then like, I don't know, I just don't think that's like a worthwhile way to live your life. I think like doing things that bring you joy will bring you to the right place, because if your joy gets you there, then like you can continue building upon it there. And I think that's something that people should focus on.
Yes, I definitely agree with everything that everybody else has said. Colleges, yes, they look at your numbers, they look at your GPA, they look at your SAT scores and all that. But what they really want is well-rounded individuals who can make their campus a community. They're not looking at the numbers. The numbers don't make a person, because once you get to college, this is a completely different ballgame. That GPA doesn't matter anymore. That's what you did in high school. This is now college, and they're looking for people who are going to make their community something better.
Well said, well said. We've got a few of other counselors here, Ms. Falcone, Ms. Blevins, or Ms. Rucker. Did you all want to chime in and ask our former students something? Anything y'all want to ask them?
The first thing I'm going to say is you guys are amazing, and you're saying wonderful things, because as counselors, and you guys know this because you've gone through it, some of our students are so stressed and so concerned, and all they're thinking about is AP classes and my GPA and this, that, and the other. And it's so much pressure. So everything you guys are saying, it's exactly what the students need to hear. So, and coming from you guys is tremendous. So I'm so glad that you guys have said the things that you've said. And I love that we have, you know, a student in Spain, and we have students in Boston and DC and right here in Georgia. So I just think you guys are such a great group representing what Midtown Grady is truly about. So thank you guys so much for giving up your time and being here. I think for me, how are you handling, because we do know that college is different, and you did speak about, you know, prioritizing and time management, but can you talk about stress, like stress that you have dealt with once you got to college, and just kind of share a little bit about how you navigated through that?
Yeah, I can start. Me personally, I'm a lot less stressed in college than I was in high school, just because I can do more stuff on my own terms. And it's a lot more social than high school, I think. And I was able to tap into that and really enjoy that side of it. And also you're just doing what you love more. Like, no shade to how high school is set up, but like you do have to take a lot of classes that you don't necessarily want to take, which I think like serves some merits in that you get exposed to a lot of cool different topics and ideas. But in college, you're more able to cater your academic workload to what interests you. So I think on that side, it's a lot better. And at least for me, when I find I'm doing things I like, even if it's tough, it's not too stressful. And I also think just the resources they have on a college campus have been really good for making me less stressed when it comes to preparation for tests and office hours with professors. Like, all that's been really good for helping me prepare for exams and be ready. So I think it's definitely stressful at times. And what I do when it is stressful is I lean into my friends. I just have a good network of students and like professors that I can talk to if I am worried about assignments or I need to get on studying. So I think just building a network that you can lean on when times are tough. They give strategies, like you guys know, it's high school stressful. You guys have strategies, but they give strategies that you can help deal with when you're stressed. And ultimately remembering, like, as much as like GPA is important and doing your best is important, ultimately in the long run, that's not what's most important about college. It's about having great experiences, and you can almost learn as much outside the classroom as you do inside, because you're surrounded by so many very smart individuals with a diverse perspective. So just remember that, like, cherish the moments you have outside of the academic setting, really lean into your friends, and then just remember that in the long run, it's all about perspective, and getting an A versus a B on one test is not going to change much. So helping reframe that has really been helpful, and ultimately just going in knowing that I did my best and I worked hard. The results will come as they may has been really good for me not worrying too much about results. I think, long story short, be effort oriented when it comes to how you prepare for things, not result oriented. And if you do the stuff you need to do, the results will come.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of that. Like, I think college is so much about just the experience and the journey you go on to get where you're going. Like exactly what Griffin just said, like, it's about the journey. And I think for me as a freshman coming in, just being away from home, being away from my friends was very stressful for me because I just didn't feel comfortable. I think like really this semester, even like to this day, I'm still not fully adjusted. So I think like it can be very stressful feeling like I haven't really made my friends yet. You know, I haven't met my best friends. Oh, are these activities for me? Oh, everyone's doing so much. Am I doing enough? I think like coming in as a freshman, especially, like that can be a really stressful moment. And you can kind of feel like, wow, is my whole college experience going to be like this? Like, did I pick the right place? So I think like a way to kind of relieve that stress is just to remember that it's an adjustment. Like college is an adjustment more than just a new workload. I mean, you're moving to a whole new place. You're away from your parents for the first time for an extended amount of time. You're stepping into adulthood. So I would say to relieve that stress, lean into your friends, and just, I think a lot of self-reassurance is what I really do is I just have to remember that this is the adjustment and I have a goal, like there's a goal that I'm trying to get to. And all of this is helping me be a better person, a stronger person, and more prepared to achieve what I'm supposed to achieve. So yeah.
I have like a few tangible things, kind of building off of what everyone else is saying. Like, I think it took me a really long time, in like fall semester freshman year to adjust to the workload. Like I was definitely working way too hard. And so like my solution is like, if you have like an experience or something that you think is going to be valuable, say yes to that. And you also don't have to do all the readings, like skim it if you're going to go do something cool instead. Like never let, okay, I was gonna say never let school get in the way of fun, but that's not what I mean. I mean more of like, like balance, like have work-life balance. And then my other piece is there's a lot of unstructured time in college, and I think that's, to at least for me, like I'm a very like routine oriented kind of person, and so like when I have unstructured time, that's when I kind of get stressed because I'm like, oh, like what am I doing? Like I should probably be being productive, but I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. So I kind of make a rough to-do list for the week, each Sunday, with like, okay, these are the things that I'm hoping to get done each day. And it also takes time to realize, okay, like what's a reasonable to-do list? Like there's definitely an adjustment period where you're like, okay, like I know how long it takes me to read 20 pages. Like I know how long it takes me to write 1,000 words. And like give yourself grace to figure it out. But like once you do kind of have an idea, you should be trying to create reasonable to-do lists that leave you feeling like you've accomplished more than what you like thought you were. So kind of just like, at least for me, like that's something that's worked for me. Obviously everyone's different, but having that sort of routine and like kind of creating that for myself has been helpful in like managing stress.
Good stuff. Thank you for sharing.
What Griffin said about having a very strong support system. Every time when I get stressed, I usually like want to isolate, shut down, and just be worried about everything that I have on my plate. But I have a great support system of friends that I found, but I also brought with me to Howard. So I kind of cheated when I found my friends a little bit, but having them is a very great thing to have. I have a very strong support system and they keep me going, and they remind me of times when I need it most, that I can do whatever I need to do. And it's really not that hard for real.
I would definitely like second everything that's already been said. Creating a support system is really, really helpful. And it's honestly really easy to do once you kind of get settled in to college. It might have been a different experience for me, but I didn't have many people that I like knew from high school. So I was able to kind of like start new, which was kind of refreshing. And I also think it's important to remember that there's different kinds of stress. And I think it's a lot easier to be stressed about things that you love rather than like things that you're not necessarily excited about. I was stressed a lot in high school because I just was not enjoying what I was doing. And I think that made me really worried about going into college. But then I found like what I loved to do. And I think being stressed about that is honestly rewarding in a way, because like you're working towards something. Like other people have said so far, it's more effort and goal oriented. Like you have a goal, you see what you want to do, so it's just easier to push through being stressed. And it's also important to like utilize your professors. It's very different from high school in that your professors are there to literally get you into like the world. Like you're not just in high school. The goal is not just to graduate anymore. It's like you're getting ready to go into like a career. You're going out into the world. Like these professors have so many connections and want to help. And I mean, they're there for a reason. So I found a lot of support going to office hours and talking to professors, and I was able to get so many opportunities, and that relieved so much stress.
Well,
Yeah. I'll say just notice the patterns, notice how many times out the week you're going out. Notice how much time it takes you to do your work, or if you can comprehend it. Just know you're not alone. Everyone's taking the same classes as you. Get to know the people around you through study groups, because I didn't take advantage of that my last semester. And I felt so overwhelmed just doing things myself and feeling like, time oriented, not doing the best I can with managing my projects and midterms. That's where I really messed up, did better in finals. It's just that take your time to know yourself and take time to know others, because that will really help you in the long run.
Indeed, indeed. I do want to open the floor up for Q&A from our people who joined, our audience. So you guys are free to unmute yourself. What's on your mind? What do you want to know? Any students on here or parents on here? What questions would you like to ask these fantastic former students, now adults, making their way through the world? What would you like for them to share? Do you have any questions? Well, I got something for you guys. Finish this sentence. I thought my biggest aha would be, but in all actuality, my aha moment was. Who can finish that or fill in the blanks?
Talk about with like reference to, like I'm a little confused by the question. Not gonna lie. Like, are you talking about like your aha moment in college, or like when you realized about certain strategies?
I'm really talking about anything in general. I didn't specify it. So, you know, since you guys are now in college, sure, that would be great. But since we're having a conversation about your maturation, what did you think your aha moment would be that you're coming out of high school where you are now? But in all actuality, your aha moment was.
I have one. I thought my aha moment would be, I figured it out. I know everything. And I really realized that I don't. I do not know everything. And sometimes I still need to ask for help. I'm still learning. I'm still growing into an adult. And sometimes I think it's bad to ask for help when I need it, because I think I'm supposed to have it all figured out. I think I'm supposed to know everything by now. And the reality is I just don't. I feel like there's always something that you can learn. There's always something that you don't know. And it's okay. That's perfectly fine, because we're still learning, we're still growing, and we will figure it out in time.
I think for me, college felt like such a like far away place, and it was like such an idea, and it was like, oh, like I'll have everything figured out once I get there. Like I'll find my people who like really understand me. It'll be like all quirky and cool, and like be doing really cool things. And like I got to orientation, and I was like, it wasn't even just orientation. It was like the first couple months of school, and I was like, I haven't had a real conversation with someone. If I like have to hear someone's concentration and like where they're from one more time, like I'm gonna go crazy. And so I was like, I definitely like, it took me a little bit to like find like my close group of friends. I tried out a bunch of different groups, and was like, okay, like these people aren't my people. But then like when I did find my people, it was such a magical moment. And it was just like kind of like a resurgence of the hope that I had been experiencing when I was thinking about college as like, oh, like some sort of ideal place. So those people will exist for you, even if it takes time to find them.
I'll say I thought my biggest aha moment was going to be getting into my dream school, but my biggest aha moment was coming to the school that I'm at now. And I say that because like my dream school was the University of Pennsylvania, and I toured it, I fell in love with it, and I thought that's where I wanted to go. And after just doing more research and coming to an HBCU, when I came on Howard's campus and just like the people I'm around, the things I learned in class, like the stuff I learned, you literally cannot get at any other, you cannot get outside of an HBCU education. So I just think like in hindsight, looking back, I'm so happy I made the decision to come here, because what I thought was for me when I was applying to colleges, like I never wanted to come to Howard, is now the place that I wouldn't have made a different decision for the world if I could go back and change it. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I feel like there hasn't been one aha moment. I think I've just like learned and grown along the way. So I'd say like if you feel like you haven't had it yet, like that's completely fine. Your growth and maturation doesn't have to be in sizable chunks. It could just be every day you improve by 1%. You like get to know yourself better and find things you really like. So yeah, just if you haven't felt an aha moment yet about college or just in general, like completely fine. Just keep doing you. And it'll definitely like continue to reap a lot of benefits.
I definitely had the same experience that was mentioned earlier with like thinking I had everything figured out and I knew everything when I got to college. I initially I applied to 4 schools for undergrad, and 3 of the 4 had a program that I just thought was what I wanted to do. I was like, this is what I'm going to do. This isn't going to change. And then this 4th school, it didn't have that program. It had nothing that I was initially interested in, but something like pulled me there anyway. And I ended up going there, and my entire trajectory like changed. And I realized that there are like other fields. Like I realized that there were other things I was interested in. And I think giving myself a chance to realize I didn't have it all figured out when I was 18 is fair. And like now I'm in grad school doing something completely different than I thought I would be doing. So that was definitely like a shock at first. And I figured that out my first semester of undergrad. I had a academic advisor. She kept trying to tell me like keep my options open, take some different classes. And I kept trying to fight back. And then I eventually did it, and she ended up being right. And I hated that, but it worked out.
I think for me, one of my biggest moments were I graduated high school, I got accepted to at least 18 universities. Next thing you know, I chose to go to Spain. And right after high school, I did an internship with Zillow. But in actual reality, after this semester, my second semester in Spain, I have no idea what's next. I don't know if I'm trying to transfer to a different school, work for an internship for a while. But I know just with time and with planning, things will work out one way or another.
Aha moments. So, you guys, thank you. Thank you for being here. We are really appreciative, and just to echo what Ms. Blevins shared, you all taking the time in your busy schedules to come by and speak and share and give back is priceless. And so we're really appreciative of you all doing this for us. Students, Midtown students, we hope that you enjoyed this. We will air this out in SEL. You'll have access to it at some point. And we hope to share this with the entire student body. Stay in touch with us. And if you guys want to reach out to do some more things for us, just let us know. We'd love to have it. And our current students, once you graduate, hopefully you'll be willing to do the same that they've done. So thank you guys, appreciate it. And if there's any last thoughts, if I missed anybody, go ahead and speak up now before we part ways.
You all continue all your success. So proud of you all.
Yeah.
Yes, I will add on to that. I am so happy to see all of you here. Just even responding to an email from us, we appreciate that because we know how busy you are in your college lives and that adjustment. Because many of you are making not only transitions from being considered being high school students to college students, but many of us have also left the state. So you're in a completely different world. You're away from your family, like many of us mentioned. You're still trying to find your tribe if you haven't. So there's a lot of transitions happening just in that realm. And then also developmentally, as you're moving out of your teens and into your early 20s and kind of being expected and seen by other people as an adult. So that can also be very scary and jarring. But we appreciate you all for sharing I think each and every single one of you have very unique experiences, which makes this super rich for all of our students to be able to see. We're getting the HBCU perspectives, we're getting the Ivy League perspectives, we're getting perspectives from people who already have degrees and are in grad school and pursuing, you know, super post-secondary goals. So it's really nice for our students to be able to see it and just know that their Midtown/Grady community is super strong because you all keep in touch and come back. So.
Well said, well said. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. And everyone have a good night. We will see you tomorrow, bright and early. And thank you.